Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all fantastic. Hope you're all having a great day. Hope that everything is going swell, as it were. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. This was popular, but I think it needed to be popularer, just because I know for a fact that a lot of people typically don't see the value in news like this, which makes it even crazier is the fact that like this should be completely on everyone's radar. But as we've gone over many a time before, there are a lot of people who don't care about retiring. There are a lot of people who don't care about 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road economically. And I guess it does make a lot of sense as to why people would ignore news like this if they felt that way. Some of the major signals for me that crypto won, that Bitcoin made it, and that Bitcoin wasn't going to disappear and was basically here for the long term, there were a number of things that began to pop up. The first things were the wealthy people who began to like poke their head into the space. It's usually just like a lot of rich people looking for ways to become richer. But then when you realize the institutions who began to get into the space, the gigantic, okay, cool, seal of approval was basically from BlackRock. BlackRock isn't going to get into a space unless they are going to make an enormous amount of money. So that kind of solidified it for me. But something that we ended up hearing about years ago really began to make sense. And it's also something to do with like percentage allocation. Like I said, not the most exciting thing unless you're like really into money like I am, or like numbers, what have you. But it's kind of like, remember before when we started hearing from a lot of these companies that their allocations into the cryptocurrency space was like 0.5%, and then 1%. And the numbers that we're getting now are around like 5% allocations. We had that thing from BlackRock a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember exactly what the number was, but it was over 20% that they told their clients that it should be their allocation into Bitcoin. And I was like, well, that definitely seals it for me. When it comes to the idea of retiring or retirement, these funds do not get into things that they think has no legs, no longevity, just won't be able to continue on. When you invest in something, if you've ever invested in any type of a retirement fund, and if you look through the actual portfolio that they have, it's generally typically always very well established, been around for 150 years kinds of companies, the things that are just going to last for a very long time to ensure that when you retire, your money's been relatively stable, the prices have gone up, you've made some profit, what have you, and you have some good amount of money to be able to retire on. The weird thing is that a lot of these companies, these pension funds, these pension companies are now getting actively into Bitcoin, and they have been for a while. The significance is they've gone through the numbers. There are people who manage hundreds of billions of dollars for these funds, and they look for allocations into things that they know are going to last for a while, that will have continuous returns for their clients. So, like I said, this news should be more popular, but I understand that a lot of people just don't want to retire. I don't know what's going on. In a new report, Fidelity has highlighted a growing amount of interest from pension funds in the cryptocurrency market. Someone named Manuel Nordesta, Vice President at Fidelity Digital Assets, shared insights during a London event, noting that pension plans are now discussing crypto investments. The move suggests a major shift as institutionals traditionally known for their conservative investment strategies have begun to explore this new asset class. It is very difficult to ignore. Listen, at least not in my case. If someone's constantly screaming, if all these rich people are hanging out together, and you have a group of a whole bunch of them at all these events. This London event was not the only one. There's tons of rich people events all over the world all the time. And someone tells you, I made 3,000% on my money because I invested in crypto. You keep hearing it over and over and over. You hear these people talking at events and all these other private conversations that they're having with their friends and family and all these other people. And someone says, yeah, based on current projections, because of price past movements and current supply and demand levels, we're seeing a $900,000 Bitcoin by the year 2030. That's big money to be made. And a lot of the crypto price predictions that we get, and I mean, you can't really expand that far. I truly do understand. A lot of the price predictions tend to like taper off after the year 2030 because you can't really say in 2024 what you expect prices to be in by 2040. But if you've been listening to anything that Kathy Wood or other people has saying, they're expecting a $10 million plus Bitcoin at that point. It's not even a large amount of money for like the customers of these funds, but it's also for the actual like fund itself. If you get an allocation for your customers, you're also going to have an allocation for yourself. If people are talking about $500,000 in the next year or two for Bitcoin, this is a dramatic amount of money that's going to be flowing into the space. But once again, a lot of times news like this doesn't really capture the imagination of people because the core of it, a lot of people just really care about like how much money they can make. But yes, cool, got it, investment. But the problem is that no or very few people are thinking about the long term. It's the same exact thing when it comes to buying property. You don't buy property, flip it and go, I made some monies. No, you hold on to it because have you seen property prices from the 1950s, 60s, and dare I even say from the 1970s? I was shocked. From the 70s and 80s, I looked at property prices to now and I was like, what? That was almost 40 years and prices have completely lost their minds. You buy the property and hold it. So that 30, 40 years down the line, cool, you made a little flip before when you made a good 15, 20,000 from the flip you did. But if you had held on to that property over 40 years, you would have made a tremendous profit, especially if you had kept on buying other property, had kept on buying land, which is also constantly becoming more and more expensive. It's the same exact thing with Bitcoin. Why do you think all these people are talking about governments and nation states buying Bitcoin? Is not to hold it and be like, maybe I'm going to trade it. No, because at some point, Bitcoin, if the current trend continues, is going to be worth so much that countries can literally issue new currencies against the amount of Bitcoin that they have. It is literal digital gold. We're talking about a situation where we have a $10 million Bitcoin. The people who hold Bitcoin are wealthy. To hear that countries are mining Bitcoin, are holding and hoarding Bitcoin, is insane. We should literally, even before we had the ETFs, we should have been well over $100,000 per coin, well above it. The world has changed right before our eyes. Do you know these are normally like private conversations that these people have amongst themselves? To even hear the news that Fidelity's like, yeah, there's probably a lot of people looking at the space right now who have pension funds. That solidifies Bitcoin in the cryptocurrency space forever, right? That means like we are constantly here. In the year 2060, Bitcoin and crypto still exists. Anyway, I know I can get a bit intense sometimes, but it's like, come on. I keep asking over and over. I don't understand what it's going to take for people to really get it, to really understand. And it's terrible. People only care when the price spikes up. There was an article, I didn't bring it here because, it was just a normal article that was floating around. But they were talking about on Google Trends, the trends, and people searching the word Bitcoin, how it had differed from when we hit 74,000 to when we regained $65,000. and how like it had, I mean, the term flatline is a bit intense, but it had nearly fallen completely back to the bottom because crypto has been creeping back up slowly and hasn't been jumping by 7, 8, 10% over the course of a day or 2 days. So these people literally stop caring about the market if it's not like something hypey that they can throw their money into. But if it's and I mean, slow and steady does not even begin to describe this market because no other market is making 300% returns over the course of a 12-month period. But when Bitcoin's price is going up by 1,000, 2,000 per day, that's not hypey enough for a lot of people. If you hear that retirement plans, stuff for old people, they're getting into Bitcoin. Have you ever watched videos where it's gonna give you nightmares, where they ask people outside, are you working towards retirement? Are you planning for your retirement? Do you have any money saved for retirement? There's a couple of them that I can think of off the top of my head that happened in New York. Like there's like random street interviews. People are walking by. Hey, miss, can I ask you a question? Hey, do you have any money saved? Like those kinds of things. Resounding no. Resounding. Gigantic no. And the multitude of answers were always, I mean, I'm only like 35. Do I have to think about investments now? You know, I'm young. I want to enjoy life, so I'm going to go on a bunch of vacations. The vast amount of people, they're young. They want to live. They want to have fun and enjoy. Yeah, right now I'm going to the Bahamas, and it's like, do you have any money in your bank account? No. I'm also buying that on credit. They don't care about retirement. I told you that from a bunch of people who I know. I thought these people were joking. How do you not care about retiring or retiring early or making a lot of money to make your life more comfortable? I cannot fathom the idea of being like, all right, let me go down to JCPenney. Only got 45 more years working there. I can do this. Doesn't make any sense, but it clearly is a thing where people just don't care about the future, especially not economically. You know that they're projecting that. So millennials and any other generation after them is never going to retire ever because these people have no money saved. They're not investing. Think of that. Millennials and every generation that came after them will never retire. Have you seen those documentaries? You got to see it, where they're talking to these pensioners, these people who are, I mean, these people are 70s and 80s, and they are still working 2 jobs. I've seen these documentaries in French. I've seen them in English. I've watched them in German. It's always the same. And I remember I saw one of them where these people were actually honest, because the other people, they were like, I don't know what happened and blah, 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 blah. And you can tell these people, now forgive me, but you can tell these people were never saving. You just know they had no intention. They were living the high life just like every other young person. One documentary, they were talking to this couple, and the woman she goes, I don't, I'm not really sure. But the interviewer, he's not pressing her, but he's like, do you know why, so-and-so? She goes, we didn't save. I didn't want to save. I thought that the government would take care of us. I thought we'd die. Like she spilled everything all at once, and she was crying. And I mean, it was difficult to watch, but like, you can tell she was like, I'm finally telling the truth. I didn't care. This is what, for those of you who do not know, I'm an obsessive investor. It is literally at the core of who I am at this point. Years ago, I mean, 10, 12 years ago, it was like a huge hobby. It is all that I am at this point. Everything that I do is invest. Any extra money, I invest. And it gets to the, it's a bit extreme sometimes, but even when you've heard me before say that I collect comic books and stuff like that. I saw someone asking before, and multiple people, I mean like 3 or 4, but asking what kind of comics I collect. I can answer you now. I just collect keys. Keys are like very specific, like focal points of the comic book world that are like worth a lot or continue to gain in value. I do not buy normal comics. I do not buy, weekly things that are coming out. I specifically buy like the first appearance of Miles Morales. I buy the first appearance of, I'm not going to say a bunch of other characters, but major, like I don't like even that. And I make sure that I have multiples of everything. First appearance of Harley Quinn. I have it in English, I have it in German, I have it in French, I have it in Dutch. It's not me bragging. It's because my mind literally can't stop thinking about getting, like, finding ways to get stuff that are, like, worth something. So that if, gigantic if, because I always have a huge if everywhere. If one market doesn't work out, I know that I'm set up somewhere else. If the housing market doesn't work out, I know that I have, like, it's constant. It's everything that I do. And I always... I wonder what set off this, like, I was going to say fight or flight. It's just fight at this point kind of thing within me. Maybe it's because I saw so many other people, like, not dealing with money very well, getting older, and then seeing them in the position that they wound up in. Maybe that did it to me. It's all I think about. Is just like having money, making money, being as secure as humanly possible in the future. It is my entire goal. Anyway, didn't mean to, that's a huge tangent there. Right. No, this is major news. Like, this is actually incredibly gigantic news. I mean, so is all the other news that we've been getting. And I know that some of you are paying attention, but for the other 90% out there, you know, this is big news. Because these companies have to buy the Bitcoin. There's not a lot of the Bitcoin. And then eventually the Bitcoin go bye-bye because there's none left on the marky. That's the Fidelity said that pension plans are beginning to look at Bitcoin. We also heard, this is, I mean, a couple of months ago, maybe 2 months ago, that apparently BlackRock is also looking to get into, like, Bitcoin themselves. They like for themselves, like they want to start buying Bitcoin as well for the company. But I already assume they were doing that before. That's the Fidelity news. And yeah, let's move on. In news that I think we were supposed to care about, this was also relatively popular, but I couldn't really figure it out. Marathon Digital has revised their 2024 hash rate goal from 35 to 37 exahashes per second to 50 exahashes. What was that? The wall just made noise. Okay, 50 exahashes per second following recent acquisitions that expanded its capacity. Okay. Per a press release, Marathon CEO Fred Thiel said that the firm could potentially double its mining scale in 2024 owing to the added capacity. Thiel also confirmed that the new target would be fully rounded with no need to raise additional capital. So I think the news is that a cryptocurrency mining company is planning on mining more Bitcoin. Remember when I told you I couldn't figure out why this was popular news, and I still can't. Because what they do doesn't necessarily affect us. They're mining more coins not to sprinkle us with more coins. It's because they have to increase their hash rate because the halving happened. So they need to mine more to be able to put more money into their pockets. I also don't understand it. So cool. Fun. I'm sure the machines cost a lot of monies to get, but I don't get, like, I can't find from any direction why this might be popular or why this might, but I mean, we also get news of people wearing t-shirts at football games, and that also ends up being popular. So maybe this is just one of those. That's one of the largest crypto mining companies is going to get more machines to mine more Bitcoin news. Whoa, that's crazy. How are they doing that? We live in the future. And yeah, let's move on. Also I kind of figured that was going to happen. Tether is back in the news Tether, the issuer of Tether, said it has teamed up with the blockchain data platform known as Chainalysis to monitor secondary market activity and combat what they call illicit activity. I'll give you 4 seconds to guess what people were upset about. Time's up. It was that. For those of you who don't know, Tether is a company. Tether is a centralized company. Tether is a company that's centralized, that has made a centralized coin. Is everyone still there? Awesome. So what ends up happening in the cryptocurrency space is that we can get crazy news that Gary Gensler is rampantly running through the cryptocurrency market, trying to figure out a way to stay relevant and basically doing anything that he can to make himself look silly. And no one bats an eye. But the moment that a company who's centralized, who has a centralized coin, no one has ever said that Tether was decentralized and no one ever claimed it, is working with a company to find illicit activity, people go bananas. So for those of you who don't know how money works, if you move too much of it, governments don't like it. And a lot of times we've been hearing that stablecoin activity has rapidly increased around the world because of logic. It's a stable thing that people are buying, especially if their currencies have been undergoing some type of inflation, blah, 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 all these other words that are currently out there. And what happens is when you are, for those of you who missed the incredible news the other day, that was also complete nonsense because it was propaganda by Visa. Stable coins in April alone did $2.2 trillion worth of transactions. Visa put out the news that apparently only 200 billion of that was from normal people around the world, and the other 2 trillion was just from people trading crypto or using trading bots. And that was supposed to like discredit the market because Visa's desperate to gain control over something. And also, anyway, so when you start sending trillions of dollars through your blockchain, you're going to catch the attention of not even Uncle Sam. I mean, Auntie Mary and the whole family, like everyone's going to be paying, pretty close attention. So they want to make sure essentially where all that money's going and can you stop a couple of, wallet addresses. A couple of years ago when Tether first was working, I think it was with the US, it had frozen a couple of wallets. People went crazy on Twitter. Like I didn't understand it because we all knew that Tether was centralized. And everyone was like, you can't do this. This is a decentralized space. And I was like, do you understand any part of your market and anything that's actually going on? Oh, gosh. Remember, this was like 4 or 5 years ago. So we heard there were a number of crypto exchanges who were like freezing wallets and so because allegedly these wallets and addresses were tied to whatever someone said was bad. But then Coinbase froze, I think, 2 or 3 accounts. The poop hit the fan. It was insane. People were like, this is decentralized. You can't do that. And I was like, up. You gave your coins to a centralized company. While they will keep track of it for you and keep it safe, understand that if you happened to partake in something within your borders that you might have known was illegal, they work with law enforcement because all these crypto exchanges also have like semi-banking charters. So they have to follow the exact same rules. You catch my drift? So yeah, Tether has partnered with Chainalysis and a lot of people weren't happy. In an announcement, Tether, which issues Tether. Why do people keep writing that? People keep writing Tether, the issuer of Tether. In an announcement, Tether, which issues Tether. It happens every single article. It's really weird. Said that they're launching new monitoring and analysis tools with Chainalysis. The tools will have the ability to identify wallets that may pose risks or be associated with illicit or sanctioned addresses. Yeah, don't forget, we still live in the 1920s. So what ended up happening is that a lot of places around the world have chosen to use crypto. And because of that, we found out, remember a number of crypto exchanges were getting in trouble because they were, so the news is that allegedly governments are saying that a number of crypto exchanges were allowing people around the world to use crypto exchanges even though they weren't allowed to. Why were they not allowed to? Because at some point, the leader of said land did something and got sanctions against the entire country. Does that make sense? Nope. So these people in these countries who literally did not do what their leader did were trying to use crypto through these exchanges, whether it be through a VPN or otherwise. And governments were like, you're doing it on purpose. You're allowing these people. And it's like, nope, we live in the future. People have VPNs and they know how to do stuff with their computers to try and make sure that they can get some money so that they can feed their families. But then that turns into an entirely different thing where people now, the sanctioned addresses, once again, 1920s or maybe 1940s and 50s, basically is saying that these countries that have sanctions on them, you're not allowed to deal in crypto with them. Good old 1950s. Gotta love it because, 2024 doesn't exist and neither does the internet. A said Tether's proactive commitment to monitoring the secondary market for USDT, the world's most popular cryptocurrency, I wouldn't go that far, has the potential to transform the entire ecosystem and make it a safer place to transact. This was said by the co-founder and chief strategy officer of Chainalysis in a blog post. Cryptocurrencies, for those of you who don't know, are digital currencies that are cryptographically cryptographed, but they also, the word represents coins that are decentralized. That's the true meaning of a cryptocurrency. It's anyone around the world can use it at any given point, and that's why Tether is not a cryptocurrency. It is a token. It is a stable coin. Anyway, yeah, super popular news, I guess. I don't know. I don't get how people keep hearing Tether news and then get completely riled up all the time over what that they've already been doing. But I mean, yeah, about that, because I have yet to see one article talking negatively about Coinbase's stablecoin, the Circle coin. I don't remember seeing any negative articles about any of this blah 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 about whatchamajaggers, about the Binance stablecoin. So I guess it's still this 5, 6, 7 year old hate against Tether from all these other things. But yeah, what are you expecting them to do? It's the same, we exist on a planet where there are decentralized cryptocurrencies that you can use, but if at some point you plan on using Tether or any other stablecoin because they're all centralized, or you use a cryptocurrency exchange, or remember when even before I was mentioning what's that thing? Fox, Micro Fox, Hot Fox, Red Fox? What's that Ethereum wallet? Red Fox wallet. Fox. This is terrible. Why can I? Anyway, you know which one? The what is it called? The web browser one. Remember before when they were telling you hey, you can now use your Visa and MasterCard here, and I was like, they're trying to get your transaction info. As we get more centralized people in the space, centralized things are going to happen. So, I mean, I'd rather have this news than hearing that Tether is being banned around the world for people who are using, Tether, and also for people who are day trading. So, neato. That's the Tether Chainalysis news. I do think that's going to do it for this video. I do hope that you all have had starting to have a great day, a great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. I hope every single one of you is paying attention to the future and saving money and investing so that you have more money than you currently have now, not only next year, but 10 years from now. I want everyone, every single person listening to this channel all the time, I want you all to be retired in the next 5 to 10 years. Did everyone hear me? Yeah, if not fully retired, semi-retired. There are a lot of people who do what they can to retire. They have passive investments that will just cover their rent, cover their insurance, et cetera, et cetera. If they need some little extra cash, they get a little part-time job or they find something online. And these people have a lot more freedom. I want that for everyone out there. You guys start paying attention now because the future's coming. We can't stop it. And you gotta prepare. Yeah. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.